Welcome back to Home Sweet Home Cooking. I am your host Rocky. This is my mother Kathy, and as always we are
in my kitchen.
in our kitchen. What are we doing today, Mom?
3-part cookies, your favorite.
Well, my
Next to Ranger.
favorite Christmas cookie, for sure. How old is this recipe?
Oh my goodness, 50 years old that I know of.
You were making these long before I was born.
Oh yeah.
So, how old is this recipe? I'm 50. I would say this recipe is probably 100 years old or better.
Probably.
Yeah, because you got it from somebody. It is called a Christmas cutout cookie. So it's got you make your shapes, you cut them out. It's not really super sweet.
No.
It's a little more savory because it's got some nutmeg in it. It's got quite a bit of nutmeg in it, and you can taste that. So it's got a little bit of a nutmeg spiciness to it. It is a old school German recipe, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because our families are from Germany. It is called a 3-part cookie because it gets mixed in 3 installments. Your first set of ingredients is flour, lard, no substitutions. It has to be lard. Don't use butter, don't use margarine, don't use shortening. It has to be lard. And salt. And that's going to get cut together like a pie crust. You can use a pie crust cutter. I'm going to try using this whisk attachment for the stand mixer, see if that'll work. She says she's done it before. Second addition of ingredients is going to be eggs and sugar beaten together. Then you're going to mix those in. And when that's mixed, you're going to put in your last set, your third part, which is milk, baking soda, vanilla, and nutmeg. And then you're going to mix that in.
And eggs.
The eggs goes in here. That's the second part.
Oh.
And those are your 3 parts. And you mix it together, you roll it out, and you cut it, you put it on your baking sheet. We've got colored sugar to decorate with. And you bake them, and we've got different cookie cutters. We've had, how many times would you say you've made this recipe?
Maybe 100.
Yeah, easily 100 times.
Yeah.
Because we make this probably sometimes a couple times. Well, we would make at least 4 or 5 batches of this a year.
Yeah.
So if you count that as making it 5 times, then yeah, we make it a lot. This recipe is in, I've created a binder here. I found a binder that says my favorite recipes on the front. But my title is Libro de Mierda que Cocina, which is the shit I can cook book. And that is in here. That is my number, let's see, it's in there. Yep, it's on the 2nd page. So that is definitely in the things that I added to this of things that I will like and continue to use.
One thing that I used to like about it is you can frost it or not. And they're just as good unfrosted. In fact, maybe better. However, if you've got kids, it's a great time to get them in the kitchen because you can cut a Santa face and you can put his eyebrows on and his whiskers. Put some coconut on that, the eyes, the mouth. And the Christmas trees, you can put your little silver things on and your colored sugar. The kids can help you.
Yeah, it's a great cookie. Like you decorate a sugar cookie, you would decorate this the same way with your icings and your frostings and your accoutrement. But I'm just going to do the simple version with the colored sugar because that's the way that I like it best. So I'm going to get the everything set up here, get the ingredients measured out, and we'll get to mixing after you watch the intro.
Okay, how many have you decorated with me?
Alright, let us begin. 3 cups of all-purpose flour are going to go into the stand mixer, followed by 1 cup of lard. Again, don't substitute anything else for the lard. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to get this cut in and back to do part 2 of the cookie. Part 1 is done. Part 2 is 2 beaten eggs. Use a quick beat. And to that you want to add 1 cup of sugar. You're going to beat that into the egg. This is kind of like creaming the wet ingredients, although butter would normally be in here. The lard gets cut into there. That's the only big difference between this and a normal cookie. I'm going to add this. I switched to the paddle attachment. I took the whisk off. And we get this a quick mix. You want to cut it in until the lard gets cut into the flour until it looks like coarse sand. Once you're at that point, you're done cutting, and you can switch over to this. So get this a quick mix. No, a slow mix, otherwise I'll end up with it everywhere. It incorporates pretty quickly. And from here, you're going to add the third part, which is 4 tablespoons of milk. In case you didn't know, 4 tablespoons is 1/4 cup. 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1.5 teaspoons of nutmeg. And give part 3 a mix. That's what I remember. Alright, I'm going to get this cleared off. This is done. I just kept the flour out because you're going to need that for your rolling. But I'm going to clear this off. I'm going to wipe it down, make sure the work counter is really clean and dry, and we'll get you rolling. So we'll be back in just a moment. I've got my work surface floured. I've got this turned over in the flour a little bit, a couple times. Try to get it so it's not going to stick. And it's time to roll out. You don't want to roll them out too thick. You don't want to roll them out too thin. If they're too thin, they burn. If they're too thick, well, then they just don't cook through all the way. You'll have to make them a few times to decide what works best for your oven. I'm just going to go for a little bit less than 1/4 inch. You want to try to get the whole thing even so you don't have some cookies on the sheet thicker than others. So you want to have them with some even cooking times. I think that'll do.
That rolling pin is like 60 years old.
Yeah. Alright. So you can use any type of cookie cutter shape you want. We're going with the obviously Christmas cookies. So we've got a bell. Cut a couple bells. We're using parchment lined cookie sheets. Okay, these are a little less than 1/4. Star. Oven is preheated to 350 degrees. That one's going to stick. We've got a Santa shape. Got a reindeer. Now these reindeer ones are kind of hard because the antlers break off because they're thin. So, but I'll give it a try again. And there's an angel. The angel's wings, if I remember right, always broke off too. And we got the Christmas tree. And we got a little Santa face. We're going to go ahead and get these transferred over to here, and we'll get them in the oven. It says bake until, we're going to sugar them, so we'll be back before we sugar them before we put them in the oven. Alright, they are on cookie sheets, on parchment. Oven is preheated, so it's time to decorate. Like I said, we're just going to do the colored sugar. So, Christmas trees are green. So I'll give the Christmas trees green butter or green sugar for sure. Santas are red. So anything that is Santa shaped, I'll put red sugar on. And we got some, I got blue color sugar too. And of course, you know, I'll put blue on the bells because blue bells. Get it? Get it? Blue bells. And put some blue on the angels too, because angels, I don't think red or green angels really are all that appealing.
Shows you different.
I just don't think it makes sense. And might as well do some blue stars. And you can use whatever you want. Like I said, we're doing sugar. We also got these nonpareils. Do a couple of those. It's more of a birthday kind of looking cookie thingy, but it'll do. And now we're just going to cook these in the oven and bake them until they get just slightly golden brown around the edges. They don't take long. I'll try to keep a track of the time and give you a guesstimate of how many minutes, but the recipe doesn't actually say. Okay. Alright, I've brought these out of the oven and I let them cool just long enough where I can handle the pans without a hot pad, so they cooled a little bit. And it's time to transfer them to a cooling rack. And you notice they're just slightly brown around the edges. That's right where you want them. It took about 12 minutes. I had them in. I had 3 racks, 3 sheets on their own rack, so I rotated every 3 minutes, and it worked out for my oven at 3 minutes. So some got a little darker brown around the edges. Because they're different shapes and sizes, they're not going to cook 100% evenly, so you just kind of got to go for the average. Let's see how they come off really easy and they're not bending or breaking too horribly. I'll go ahead and get the rest of these knocked off, get them cooled. Once they're cooled, you can eat them all right way. Or once they're cooled is when, like I said, this is just sugared. If you want to, like especially with the Christmas trees, you can take your Christmas tree and you can run, put some sugar in the background for green, and then you run just a little hoops of white or gold or whatever, and then little drops of your Christmas ornaments, and you can really decorate these out. If you get a bigger Christmas tree cookie, you can go bigger. The Santa faces, like my mom said, you could make up whoever you want, do the angels, and you can hand decorate each one. I'm 50 years old. I don't care so much about the presentation anymore as the fact that I want a Christmas cookie. So for me, I just like the round ones because they're easy to cut and it's just a cookie. But if you got kids or you want to do the whole let's make it look like Christmas, then you do your different cookie shapes and put them out like this. So let these cool off and we'll come back for a taste test. Okay, we didn't let them cool down all the way. They're still warm, not hot. A little bit light brown on the bottom of mine. Yours is a little bit darker again because that's the size of the cookie. When you put them on the cookie sheet, give them a little bit of room because they do spread out just a hair. Just let's go.
Yep, that's what I remember.
Mm-hmm. Not overly sweet, even with the sugar on top. Very mild sweetness. Like I say, this is an old school cookie. Cookies back then weren't as sweet as they are now. Now it's like a sweet treat. Back then it was, something different. It was just a slightly sweet treat back then. Today people are looking for that really sugary cookie, but this is not it. This is a very delicate flavor. Definitely nutmeggy. This would pair excellently with eggnog.
Oh yeah.
Very good. Just what I remember. Nice and soft. A little bit of crunch on the bottom from the bottom part. These won't get crispy.
There's a reindeer.
Yeah. And the Christmas tree.
Oh, I broke it.
Oh no. Santa's face, because we sugared it, you really can't see the facial features. That is the reindeer without a head. This is the angel whose neck I almost broke transferring it to the pan. This is supposed to be a Santa with a sack on his back.
There's an angel with a head that's not, or neck that's not broken.
Bluebells, stars, bigger stars. And like I say, for me, if I'm doing this just for me, not, because I'm 50 years old, I don't really need all the Christmas shtick. But if I want that Christmas cookie flavor, I'm just going to make them round because they're that much easier to cut out and do. But not hard to do. But you have to use lard. Remember, don't substitute the lard. Sugar them. Don't sugar them, ice them. You can make that hard. I can't remember what the name of that icing is. The one that comes out really, really hard.
I used to just use powdered sugar, butter, and milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the softer icing. But there's one that comes out when you put it on and it sits. The icing becomes a really glazy, crisp icing. And I don't remember what it's called. There's a special name for it. If y'all remember, just put that down in the comment. But that's it, folks. That's your easy 3-part German Christmas cookie. Probably well over 100 years old recipe. So y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Kwanzaa, or none of the above if you don't celebrate, but this is a good cookie, so try it if you want to. Y'all have a great day, like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. After this, today we're cooking another recipe, and it's going to be a gingerbread bar instead of gingerbread cookies. We already got a cut of cookies, so I'm just going to do a gingerbread bar. So I'll see you in that video.
We'll see you at the bar.